There's a lot of living I gotta do. Give me time to make a few dreams come true. Flaming star, flaming star.
Bling, bling, bling. Hello, this is 94.7. This is Dick Biondi. What is your request? Caller. My request is recording stars in heaven. Mr. But sir, there is no record of recording stars in heaven. Oh, but there is, Mr. Biondi, because we just made it. If you just made it, how can I play it? I can play it from up here. Where in the heck is up here?
That's Benjamin Huey. He's reading a radio script he's been sweating over for years, called Recording Stars in Heaven.
Don't you recognize my voice by now? No. Have we ever talked before? Come on now. You talked about my passing away yesterday of a heart attack from that stroke in 2004. Finally did me in. I'm now as the oldest living teenager.
This is Erika Hobbs for the Don't Call Me Sweetheart show. Ben is a longtime Bridgeport resident. He hauls a hobbled cart with him around Bridgeport, a kind of Fibber McGee's closet on wheels. You name it, it's in there. The Trib, workout videos, toolkits on sale from Aldi. You need it, he'll find it for you. He has a head like Curly from the Three Stooges, the aspirations of William Bendix, and the warmth of Jimmy Stewart, the kind of silver screen character on 31st Street. You've probably seen him shuffling to Bridgeport Alliance meetings, or maybe to St. Maurice, or to Benton House, where he helps hand out food for the homeless and studies the Bible with the Baptists. Or maybe you've seen him at First Lutheran Church of the Trinity, a plucky church that takes in those who are hungry in body and in spirit. People like Ben. People like me.
My name's Benjamin W. Huey. I was born and raised right here in Chicago. I was born on the north side, raised on the south side, but I'm a die-hard Cubby. The one, the only, the original White Stockings. From what I understand from my dad and dad, I'm German, Irish, Norwegian, and then half Apache, half Cherokee. And it seems like when I get real mad in that, my Apache is in me completely. It puts the other four bloods away. And usually it's my Cherokee one that keeps my Apache in control. But like when my dog was stolen, everything else went down, my Apache went full blood. So now I'm just trying to settle it. And then with God being up there, he's guiding it. He's keeping it in control. He's not letting it get too overhead. He lets me blow off so much steam, but then he brings it back down. Says, that's enough. Calm. Listen to what I say. Because he will always guide you no matter what you need. We lived at 29th and Keeley. Then my dad got sick at work, so some of the guys took him by their car to the hospital. Then when they went to go pick up some of his stuff and bring it back to the hospital, he already left the hospital and went home, which he was already halfway verged into a heart attack. And then I was working at the Bridgeport News Agency, and he started having a small heart attack. One of my friends was going to drive him to the hospital, but after he got down the stairs, he collapsed completely. So we called an ambulance, and then when the ambulance got up to 31st and Union, it got hit by a car. And the guy had an old-fashioned station wagon. He said he was only doing 5 to 10 miles an hour. Is that fast enough to flip an ambulance over on another car? And then your front end be smashed like one of these new cars? So my dad died that day. 1 month and 7 days after his birthday. So I've been on my own since.
Ben lives on a jaunty section of Loomis where no one likes to stop at stop signs. And he has a fiancée named Claudia and 2 puppies, Honey Bear and Sugar Pie. He gets by every month on less than what I paid for a discounted couch last summer.
That's how I live. I'm on SSI. That helps me pay my rent and that. Pays my gas, my lights. And then I get CETA, which that was another program Governor Rauner wants to quit. Because he thinks people can afford pay their gas and lights. But then your taxes and everything is going up. So if the taxes are going up, that means your light bill's going to be going up. Like I had a light bill that was $15, but with all the taxes in that, it was almost $40. I can't think of. There's a summer program that only pays for your electric, but this year, Rauner cut it out. So we had to pay our electric all summer. I used to work when I was younger. I worked at a daily pay place. And then I ended up where I went to Ohio for a while. I worked at a daily pay up there. I worked at a Burger King up there. So that's how I got used to Burger King. And it was real fun. Then I moved back to Chicago. Because I'm on disability because I can't work anymore because I have seizures. And I'm even afraid of them. Because there's times I could be talking to my girlfriend and that, and then all of a sudden, I lose my voice in that, and my mouth starts going dry. So that's why I'll never try going back to work again. I'm lucky I can work. I help out in these food pantries and that.
But the guy is all over the place. Busier than most of the people I know who work full-time jobs.
On the last Saturday of the month, I have a movie night. So it starts at 7 o'clock. I do all different things at the church. I help out on not food pantry, but on clothing, at clothing and that. And then whatever they need. Sometimes I go with pastor to see people in the church that were members that are in nursing homes and that. I'll go with him. And then I'm a member of the board for the cemetery. So I got so many things to do. I'm very seldom home. When I'm home, it's mostly on Monday and Thursday nights. And them are my wrestling nights. And the only Thursday that is I don't have a wrestling is when we have the BA meeting over at First Trinity, which is Bridgeport Alliance. And right now we're looking for more people that might want to come in, help us get the 31st Street bus reinstated.
The initiative has been partially successful. The bus route was reinstated as a pilot program for now. But civic action isn't all that Ben is serious about. Take his Elvis impersonations, for example.
I got 2 costumes. I got one black one, and I got one that looks like a prison costume. The only thing I haven't gotten on the prison one is I'm trying to put the name that Elvis had in the movie and his prison number on it. But it's a prison jumpsuit. But I want to try and do something like he originally had with regular pants and that, and like a regular prison shirt on, not the jumpsuit. Jumpsuit is more modern. And then I got something like his gold outfit, the gold shirt and that. For the 50,000 Elvis fans, can't be wrong. So I got black pants and that. I got a jacket to go along with it. So I try and do my best. I like Love Me Tender and Flaming Star. Flaming Star is one of my main favorites. Because that is like an Indian song. It's a sign that the Indian sees just before he dies. It's a star and it's flaming. That means it's his time to go.
I met Ben at First Trinity Church on a sweaty Tuesday night. He stood up during a class we were taking and said something loud, I don't remember what. And I thought, oh man, this guy. But I was at First Trinity because life for me was brittle, like the dried milkweed pods I'd snag my sweater on when I was a kid. So as I settled in among the folks there, I started listening to Ben's stories. Like what it was like growing up on the streets of Chicago back in the day.
I was going to Seward School. I got into what they called an ungraded room. We're like 5th, 6th, or 6th, 7th, and 8th. And there was a funeral home that used to be across the street from where the school was. Some kids threw an apple and a pear at the funeral. Me and my buddy were at the other end watching them as they're going into the church. Because the church is right around the corner. But they blamed me and my buddy for throwing the apple and pear at it. The apple hit the casket. The pear hit one of the parishioners on the head and then bounced off the casket. And that's how we got kicked out. Now, they never gave us our time limit, how many days we were out of school and that. I just kept reading and that. And then me and my buddy, since we weren't in school, we ended up every day, 57th and Lakeshore Drive, Museum of Science and Industry. So then after a couple weeks, Bruce Mitchell, the assistant curator, seen us coming in every day. And he asked why we were there every day. When we told him the story, he says, well, now you're here every day. I want to see how well you guys know this museum. Be here tomorrow at about like 6 o'clock so you can show me the museum. And within 2 hours, we showed him the whole museum. He says, you learned more here than you did in your school. And that gave us high praises.
For months, Ben and I talked at church and at Tuesday night dinners, over coffee, and when I drove him to Benton House. I realized he's like the old bachelor uncle we've all got. The one who will reach into his pocket and hand you whatever change is in there so that you can go buy the candy your mother said you couldn't have. Ben's rich in stories, and he shares his wealth with me. There's this story about how Ben cold-cocked a zookeeper for tasing Ziggy the elephant. Ziggy scooped Ben up in his trunk as a reward. And about how he was raised by his father and by a stepmother who didn't like him too much. About how for years he thought his own mother was dead until he tracked her down and met her over at the Woolworths on North Avenue. About how he's met some of Chicago's biggest local characters, Rich Coase, otherwise known as the son of Svengoolie, and Dick Biondi, the oldies DJ.
Me and my friend went into, I think it's the Hyatt Hotel over there near McCormick Place. He used to record. He had a studio up there, I think once a week on the top, on a Friday night or something. And this was like 1971. That was the first time I met him. He was a hell of a nice guy. And then years later, there was another little spot that had a restaurant there. And Dick was taping over there. So I decided, I did another imitation, but this one was from a TV show. And it was Sergeant Carter from Gomer Pyle. And Dick was taking down my information to send me an album. And then all of a sudden we hear in the background, "Well, golly gee, Sergeant, I didn't do anything." Dick goes, "I thought you could only do Sergeant Carter." I says, "Yeah, I can. That's it." "Well, who in the heck just did Gomer?" So me and Dick are looking around. Here, standing at the entrance of the door, with a phone in his hand, was Jim Neighbors.
Then, one afternoon, Ben tells me this story.
Yeah, me and my fiance, we were going from the MAC program to get cheese and that, and there was a homeless guy over here by Ashland and Cermak, and he was digging in a garbage can looking for stuff to eat. I was inside getting the food. My fiance went out. We had a package of bologna and a bag of bread, and she gave it to him. Because he was fighting everything, any infestus that was out there, he was fighting. Roaches, ants, mice, just trying to get something to eat.
And I ask him the only question I can think of. Why?
Because it helps, and it's what God wants me to do. God decides and tells me, he says, go out there, feed them. I say, when I've got so much that I can do it, I'll do it. But it ain't easy. But you can't look for somebody to say, oh, that's great, this is good. Just look and let God tell you. God will let you know if you're doing right or wrong. If you expect credit, you're not doing it for God. You're doing it for your own gain. And it takes a lot. It takes a hell of a lot.
That's where radio comes in. Ben's got a vision for all these stories. He's going to produce a radio show, or shows, if he can have it his way. He's been working on several plays, some of them for years.
Well, it's still in planning stages, but I'm trying to do different type of programs. I've got a Stooge Carol planned, and I've only got so many pages of that done, because I'm trying to keep to the original A Christmas Carol, but I'm trying to do it Stooge style. And Mo, Shemp, and Curly are going to be the past, present, and future ghosts. Mo is going to be the future, Shemp is going to be the present, and Curly will be the past. And Curly Joe is going to be the one working with Mr. Scrooge, which will be Mr. Fine. And then we still got to put in Joe Besser. Then I got another one I made from American Pickers and the Stooges from when they bought an Ingle bike. And what gave me that idea is from the Ingle bike, and then the Stooges with Yes, We Have No Bonanza, with the bike that Curly was riding. And the bike, what you wouldn't believe what the name of the bike was that Curly had. Silver. So you can tell he was a Lone Ranger fan. And if you ever want to really go back, try and get the old-time radio programs from back then and listen to the difference. At one time, when you hear the hoof beats, it ain't from real horses. It's coconut shells on wood.
Here's another segment of his Recording Stars in Heaven piece.
Is that really you, Mr. Clark? How can you talk to me from heaven? 'Cause God can do everything, or don't you believe me? But Mr. Clark, if you have passed on, how can you make a record with all these stars that have passed on before you? It was easy. They met me at the gate with Jesus. Then I asked Jesus about making a record with all the stars in heaven.
I could not understand his passion for the airwaves. Video killed the radio star, I reminded him. TV? I get. But radio?
My friend Larry, that got kicked out of school with me, he was listening to it in the mornings. That's how I got listening to it. And then my dad says, how can you listen to that stuff? That stuff I listened to when I was a kid. I says, yeah, but how much of your imagination did you use? Did you ever really picture yourself being on Silver or Scout? Or picture Fibber McGee's closet? What it looked like? Just listening to that, just going back, just picturing it in your mind. You open up your door, and all these things come falling out of your closet.
After he told me that, I could picture it in my mind. You're dried up, empty, ready to be carried in the wind like seed pods. You sit in your recliner, turn off the lights, flip on the radio, lean back, close your eyes, and it's just you in the dark. Then you hear the clop-clop of coconut shells and the crash of overstuffed closets. And story by story, you realize nothing is really falling down around you. Through the magic of the airwaves, you sit in the company of all the angels and archangels and all the company of heaven, their wings around you, filling your parched soul with a sweet nectar. When the segment ends, you open your eyes, and you just know that there's a new episode for when you're ready. Another hero waiting. Another chance to save the day. Here's one more bit from Recording Stars in Heaven.
And he said, "Are they ready?" And all the singers go, "Yes, we are ready to sing your high praises. Thank you, thank all of you. And what shall we sing?" Nellis goes, "Is everyone ready?" Cash goes, "Yes." Garland goes, "Ready." Parkins go, "Ready." Martin goes, "Yes." Don Ho, yes. Petulia Clark, yes.
But that's not the end. There is no end, because Ben hasn't written it yet. But I, for one, am waiting for him to finish.
Right. I'm still in the thinking stage. But I'm going to get it there. It's going slow but surely. And I hope I can get it. I'm 62 and I'm still working on this stuff. And I'm having fun. For now, this is Benjamin Huey. So long.
And this is Erika Hobbs for the Don't Call Me Sweetheart show. So long.
Give me time to make a few dreams come true.